Hello and welcome yet again to another edition of Top 10 Worst Ofs, the best in worst ofs anywhere. The primary resource for those of you out there looking for worst ofs. I'm your host for today's endeavor, Robin Banks, and I think that this is you've chosen a very opportune time to indulge yourself in a top 10 worst of list, because today's list is spectacular and I think has applicability. Anybody who will be, watching something like this, I think can find a lot of really direct benefits and advice from. And today's list is top 10 worst people to wake up next to in bed after a blackout drunk. Now, let's be honest with each other here. There's no reason for us to put up facades. But I'm guessing that the very few people that have, thus far indulged in this has only been around for 2 months, so, I think I should get a little wiggle room before I cast dispersions against myself. But for the few people that are actually watching this stuff, I'm going to go ahead and guess that they are no stranger to the activity of getting blackout drunk. And excuse me, I'm so sorry, because I know this is rude, but I'm having a really tough go of it right now. So I apologize for the rudeness. But I think that you're probably, let's be honest, no stranger to blackout drunks, and could very well be on a blackout drunk right now. And it's the only reason why you're watching something that's this drivel. So I think that there's going to be a lot of tips in here that you can draw upon to have smooth sailing during said blackout drunks. What the hell? That's why we at Top 10 Worst Ofs are here in the first place. To hold out a helping hand to help people find a way out of no way. Before we get started on things, number one, I don't want to, destroy anybody's illusions out there, but I think you might be able to tell through just a sort of cursory introduction that I'm giving here that I'm probably not somebody who could be relied upon for sage advice on the world around us. So if there's anything that you hear, that seems out of sort, this is just my opinion and stuff like that. So you should go look that stuff up. In fact, you should be doing your own fact checking like 25/8 with the way that our media resources have been monopolized by the pig dog billionaire class. But before we get to that, the list that I mentioned earlier, I have to go through. We have some very important sponsors here at Top 10 Worst Of. First off, from the producers of Miracle on 34th Street, it's 34 Miracles on 1st Street. It's another Santa Claus being brought in on another court case, this time for trafficking elfin labor throughout the world, and failure to report Social Security taxes. And then they got stuff. They got Santa doing stuff, man. It's like, okay, Santa, do your thing. whatever. It's Miracle. It's 34 Miracles on First Street. And then from the producers of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, it's Willy Wonka and the Cheesecake Factory. It's the 20th reboot of this beloved, yet now beaten to the ground subject matter in the last 3 months. This time, Wonka brings his gourmet and innovative talents to create giant, salt-filled platters full of greasy food and jumbo artery-blocking desserts that make you pass out for 16 hours after completing. Plus, who doesn't love seeing Wonka's lovable throng of unpaid Oompa Loompas who dance around and sing to distract Willy while they try to find a way to escape his servitude? It's fun for the whole family, the Manson family, that is. It's Willy Wonka and the Cheesecake Factory. It's funny that Santa and Willy both have a bunch of indentured servants that they pay off with candy canes or chocolate soup. And then it's the people, our other sponsor today is the people from Polio Farms. People done let themselves get all kinds of brainwashed into doing things that screw themselves over to make them soft and easy for the rich to chop them up like a bread does for gravy. That's why the people of Polio Farms are looking to intercede in your behalf to give a delightful resting place designed with your iron lung afflicted loved one in mind, a destination for you to dump all of your vegetative safe family members where they can stare off into pastoral hills from time to time and yet have the safety of the darkened warehouses at night and feel safe among their fellow fallen to the extent that they can feel anything at all. Because we know at Polio Farms that you're doing everything that you possibly can to impose your skewed viewpoints about being worth a damn and prioritizing that over your fellow neighbor and their children who can get polio and be stuck with an infirmity for the rest of their lives. It's Polio Farms, goddammit. Because you're not worth it. You're not worth not taking vaccines. Like, you think that you're something special, like full brain functions and stuff, that you're listening to like people who prioritize blowing off vaccines over, I don't know, acid rain creating vast amounts of mercury in fish, so much so that pregnant women can't eat fish, or Fukushima Daiichi breach into the Pacific Ocean, and then within just a couple of months, there's 3 recalls from that same area of radioactive shrimp, or Teflon pans, industrial hog farms with runoff into the... Oh, how about all the recreational pet turds that were and kitty non-biodegradable kitty litter that gets tossed into landfills every frickin' day? No, yeah, you deserve to put your neighbors at risk because of your highfalutin ideas that you're worth a damn. Get over yourself. Nobody's worth a damn anymore. It's Polio Farms. All right, so let's get on with the today's. There's a top 10 worst people to wake up next to in bed after a blackout drunk. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I just a big giant rail of ground up Adderall right before this episode so I could have something resembling enthusiasm for doing this list. Anyway, number 10. I should just go to number 1 on this. This is not a great list. Number 10, Lauren Sanchez. Now, it's not just that Lauren Sanchez looks like the Jack Nicholson Joker from the Batman movie with Michael Keaton and Tim Gaines, Burton. It's just that, I mean, the implants seem so dangerous. Like, like getting hit with the face with one of those fun bags. Looks like it caused severe bruising. So Lauren Sanchez wouldn't want to wake up next to her, not me personally. It could be dangerous. So again, looking out for you, because that's what we do here at Top 10 Worst South. Number 10, number 9, Elizabeth Warren. Now, Elizabeth Warren, former right-wing Republican who flopped over to the Democratic Party because, I don't know, she wanted to run for Senate and she lived in Massachusetts. And you're not going to get elected to Senate as a Republican. I don't know. Now, she's just, she seems like the biggest sad sack, really, to me, in terms of, like, interpersonal warmth. It just, I saw that live stream that she did a number of years ago from her kitchen, and she goes into it and she starts up, and after a minute or so she's like, you know what, I'm gonna have myself a cold one, in the most disingenuous sounding voice of all time. And she grabs a canned beer, I think it was, like she's ever drank anything out of a can before in her entire life. And I mean, obviously staged, and it was so great because Kamala did the same thing, I think, when she appeared on Colbert, I think, in the 2024 campaign, and they're like drinking a Miller Lite, the champagne of beers, and she's like, yeah, the champagne of beers. So anyway, Elizabeth Warren's having this stupid ass beer, looks as uncomfortable as hell, and it's totally disingenuous person. I mean, you can see it from space. She's the only person on planet Earth that you can see her disingenuousness from space. And then her husband comes through, and she's like, "You want a beer?" And he's like, "No." And then I think, if I remember correctly, she slaps him on the ass, which, I mean, would have been a lot more entertaining than anything else she had to say in that mess of a live stream that she put. I mean, this is somebody who, she was like, when at the Democratic Convention in 2024, they had her speaking, and she comes up and they're giving her a huge ovation. I can't possibly imagine why. I mean, has she ever done anything that effectively wound up changing the trajectory of this country's endless march towards total fascism and consolidation of wealth and power in fewer and fewer hands? I don't remember exactly, but I don't remember anything sticking out where she did something that was remarkable and you're like, whoa, look out for Elizabeth Warren. She's on the level. I don't think she's on the level. I don't think she's the genuine article, as they say. It's not somebody I would want to wake up to in bed after a blackout drunk. It'd just be, she was at the 2024 and the Democratic Convention to speak, and they give her a huge ovation, going on and on, and you can see her starting to get all steamed up and angry that the applause were going on for so long that it was stepping on her allotted time to speak. She never says thank you. Seems like she's responsive to the enthusiastic greeting that the audience gave her. It looks, if just looking at her, to be honest with you, it looks like she's upset that she can't do her whole spiel because they're going on for so long. I don't know, man. There's something going on. I'd love to see authentic people put into positions of power who will represent. I mean, the point of having government is to provide foil against the machinations of the billionaire class. And if they're not doing their job, it's no better than what we had under the British monarchy. And they're definitely not doing their job. They're not providing any relief from the whims and toxicity of the people on the top of the food chain. Number 8 of the top 10 worst people to wake up to blackout drunk. Vince Neil from Motley Crue. Now this guy, I think, was patient zero for a variety of hepatitis. I think, if I remember correctly, I read it somewhere. I think it's hepatitis C, D, and Zeta. Hepatitis Zeta, which has thus far only been discovered in Vince Neil. And it's just like, who would want to... I'm so gross, slimy looking and greasy. No talent. Anybody? How does this guy even have a career in entertaining people? Is such a bad singer, such a total nothing when it comes to, charisma or anything redeemable musically whatsoever. And yet, this guy's mega. It's just part and parcel of the overwhelming destruction of organically driven creativity that we see in our corporate-dominated culture. And that's why it has to go. It has to go. Am I right? High five. People suck. All right, number 7 of the top 10 worst people to wake up in bed next to a blackout drunk. Your best friend's mom. Now, I was on the fence with this one. Because look, if because your best friend's mom could be, the shiz. You know what I'm saying? And it could work out. I'm talking about, I'm not talking about, when you're a kid or anything like that. I'm talking about later on in life. You're in grad school. Okay. You're 23-ish. And your best friend's mom, you go over, and she's there, wearing a t-shirt, just one of those long t-shirts and nothing else and stuff. And it's like, spadoinkle, time in a big way. And, it could be fun, but I'll tell you, especially in a blackout drunk situation, this is a decision that you want to have all of your faculties functioning at, at least medium strength, because this could be a bad situation. It's your best friend. How could you do that to your best friend, you piece of filth? What a horrible monster you are. How could you do that more than 3 or 4 times? All right, so number 6 of the top 10 worst people to wake up. Your kid's homeroom teacher. See, this one, and again, this could also be very interesting. Let's say you're a divorcee, you're hard up, you've got, persistent throbbing syndrome in your undercarriage. And, the homeroom teacher is like warm for your form. And you can tell, you're talking about, your kids acting out in class or struggling with their math homework or whatever. And all of a sudden a boobie flops out, or perhaps you can hear their Prince Albert jingling just a tiny little bit, and one thing leads to another, and you go out, slamming tequila shots, and before you know it, you don't know what you're doing anymore. Which is ironic because it's with a teacher, so knowledge and awareness should be, sort of in part of the picture at all times. However, things have gone too far, and you wake up and clearly in post-porking a disheveledness, and this could be a significant regret, especially if your kid sees the teacher doing the walk of shame after the deed is commensurated. They start playing what's that thing? Pomp and Circumstance. But how does that go? No, that's Hail to the Chief. But onward, Christian. I can't remember. But you know what I'm trying to say. Like, this could be scar tissue forming around the entire soul of your poor, unfortunate kid who's probably not worth a damn. Clearly you didn't care about them before you got drunk and banged it out with their teacher. All right, so number 5 of the top 10 worst people to wake up in bed and blackout drunk. Kid Rock. Now, I don't, this is a guy who you definitely have to be on a blackout drunk to even be mildly attracted to. It's, intellectually, spiritually, this is one of the worst people ever. And he comes from a rich family, so that whole urban hillbilly pose that he adopts is just, to bamboozle his fans. Here's a guy who's intolerant as well as untalented. It's a bad combination. And winding up and, waking up in bed and you look and you see that it's Kid Rock next to you. The first thing I would do would be to burn the sheets. And then next, I would go for preemptive, what's it called thing with the thing that you got the, when you've got the rusty nail pokes you, tetanus. Definitely go for a preemptive tetanus after that. And it's just not fun. I'm sure it's not fun waking up somebody as bad as Kid Rock. Despicable and talentless. What does he do? Is there anything? Am I missing anything at Kid Rock? It just seems like what a pathetic washout nobody. Poser. Just like horrible. All right, number 4 of the top 10 worst people to wake up next to bed after a blackout drunk. And I'm going to go with RFK Jr. Now, there's a lot to be said about the pure living horror show it would be to wake up next to that creepy, disease-addled parasite after a blackout drunk. First of all, you don't see it coming. If you got a mild buzz on or anything like that to, sort of just make you, get the hots or something like that. That's one thing, because you can, try for somebody else instead of RFK Jr. But if you've lost all control of your motor functions and brain functions, have zeroed out, and you wind up with an RFK, that's almost like a reason to reinstate prohibition on alcohol, because, that's just something that you can't live down. What are you going to tell all your friends? Or are you going to just cover it up? What if the National Enquirer finds out RFK sleeps with nondescript schmuck who's big fan of top 10 worst of lists, and it gets splashed all over the checkout lines at your local grocery store? It's not going to be fun. Okay, so for those of you on the right who would like a right-wing example of that of a left winger that would be scary bad to wake up in bed next to after blackout drunk. I would say that maybe Katy Perry, does that qualify? I don't think she's really a Democrat. She seems like one of these phony baloney Republicans and sheep's clothing types of people. She has to maintain that sort of like liberal bent for the purposes of her fan base, so she can sell them outright proper. But I mean that's disgusting. A person sold out at a level that's just revolting, quite frankly. And that song last Friday night is about the worst thing I've ever heard. And the video goes along with it, makes her look like a 15-year-old with braces and stuff. And she's talking about getting raped while on a blackout drunk, which is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about consensual blackout drunks on both parties, and everything's above board. Nobody's getting hurt. Everybody's down. They, consent prior to the blackout drunk. I don't know. This whole thing is so absurd and stupid that, to add more layers of like rational trying to, sort of get myself a little escape clause for not being called out for being a total monster myself, just makes it seem more pathetic. All right, so top 10 worst people to wake up to next to blackout drunk. All three of the Jonas Brothers, including the guy with the one with ears, who looks like Alfred E. Newman, contracted an untreated syphilis. All three of the Jonas Brothers, it's not just the fact that they just seem like they're just such pathetic excuses for human beings, but it's that they are pathetic excuses for human beings. And when people sell out at that level, screw them. I say, those are the people we should be thinking about deporting instead of, the hardworking immigrants who are trying to make a way for themselves, working their asses off, not breaking any laws primarily. Not nearly as much as, native-born Americans are breaking the laws, God damn it. Start deporting some of these classless phonies. The Jonas Brothers, Vince Neil, Elizabeth Warren, Lawrence Sanchez, all the billionaires. Just, get rid of them. The Chicago Bears are trying to put the screws, and all the NFL teams are trying to put the screws to build stadiums for them, off of our backs and luxury boxes. It's like tithe. It's like every 20 years they force us to pay tithe or we'll lose the frickin' franchise. Screw you. In Chicago, we're going through the Bears here in 2026. And, I'm at the point where I don't watch football anymore, so it's not exactly fair or open-minded because I could live without them very easily. But the fact is that, I don't know, the tickets have been sold out for 100,000 years, so you got to know somebody almost to get a ticket. And, the team has been lousy for 40 years. They haven't gone to a Super Bowl. Oh, they went to a Super Bowl. They haven't won a Super Bowl in 40-something years. They endlessly cheap out on putting a team together. They definitely don't care about winning. And the only reason why they won in 2025, I think, is because they're trying to make themselves look better so it'd make it easier for them to get a stadium deal. And I think that NFL fixes games. I think they fixed the draft so that the better, the higher rated, bigger market teams get the best draft players and free agents and stuff. And all the perpetual, losers with lousy ratings, the Cleveland Browns and Jacksonville Jaguars. They always seem to be making teams like that. Always seem to be making like inscrutable moves. Like, why would you take that player? When you've got 3 or 4 much better players in those positions later on in the draft. It's all set up. It's all set up. They share the revenue for TV. So all they really need to do to make more money is to get the higher rated teams deep into the playoffs. And the McCaskies, the McCaskies, what a bunch of slouches. First of all, I have personal opinion that I have strong suspicion that the McCaskies had Muggs Hallis, George Hallis's kid, who was the, founding owner of the Bears. I think they had Muggs Hallis killed off. He's 54 years old, just drops dead out of nowhere. It's really sketchy. Hello, let's get a body exhumed and do some toxic city reports done for sure, man, on that guy. And they have done the McCaskies. What have they ever done with their lives? Have any of them ever held a job? They just show up and it's like, I've got $5 billion franchise. Then the George McCaskey guy, the new guy, man, wow, what a creepy looking freak. It's just like this guy. What does it take? Just all of a sudden the bells start going off like, oh, it's time for Chicago to build a new stadium for it. Why are people building factories for sports teams? It's the only industry where you have to build, the public has to build their factory. There's some that get tax breaks and stuff like that, but not with the regularity of this in every city all the time. It sucks. Talk about suck. Let's go to number 2, the top 10 worst people to wake up blackout drunk. I'm going with Mark Zuckerberg. Because, here's a guy, in my opinion, total lizard person. This guy's, I'm sure that this guy is cold-blooded. Literally has cold blood running through his veins like any other lizard family species would. And those eyes, it's so creepy. It's like that. You almost have to say, where's the one where they've got this movie where the eyelids go up and down and stuff, and then they also go from side to side, like a second set of eyelids? That's the type of creature that I ascribe Jeff Zuckerberg to being. Mark Zuckerberg. Who's Jeff Zuckerberg? His second cousin? Mark Zuckerberg, goddammit. Maybe I'm thinking of Jeff Zucker. Wasn't he one of the... No, that's Jerry Zucker? One of the guys who wrote and directed Airplane, the movie Airplane. But Mark Zuckerberg is a real, sort of like a river troll type, isn't he? When you see him and you hear him talk is just one of the creepiest things ever, to make your flesh crawl. And, just sort of seeing him, those soulless eyes of his, it's got to be at least an interdimensional, traveling, shape-shifting, malevolent species that he's a part of. I just can't exhibit. All right, so the top one of the top 10 worst people to wake up in bed next to after a blackout drunk. Bambi's mother. Where did I come up with that one? I don't know, that feels kind of like, oh, you know what would have been funnier? All right, here we go. We're going to do this one again. All right, and the number 1 worst people to wake up next to in bed after a blackout drunk. Me! Can you imagine? Like, you waking up, you're like, what was oh, God, what am I doing? And then I'm like there, hey, how you doing? You want to get breakfast? All right, so that does it for the top 10 worst death. What an incredible journey this has been. Enlightening. I think I probably saved a lot of heavy lifting for you. A lot of, bad decisions could be avoided if you take today's list to heart. Keep in mind that, everything I'm saying here, everything like that's just opinions, my own opinions. You're just as entitled to whatever your opinions are as I feel like I'm entitled to mine. Go ahead and, believe what you want to believe. If you think I'm lying, go ahead and check it out for yourself. And I also suggest that you urgently start checking everything that you hear, because those who are that have a mainstream level of distribution are people that the gatekeepers allow to have a mainstream level of distribution. And that being the case, you all need to give each of these resources the side eye, if you know what I'm saying. It doesn't take long to research this, so they still have a lot of stuff available for people to figure out, what the real deal is with all these malefactors and such. So anyway, it was a real pleasure being here. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.